Hey y'all, happy Friday. I hope you guys had an amazing week. Welcome to my Instagram, my TikTok, and or my YouTube channel. I'm not sure where I'm going to be posting this video first, so I just want to say welcome to everyone that's in my community and the collective at large, okay? Wherever you're tuning in, I'm so grateful to have you here, and I hope you are ready to pick up what I am putting down, okay? So the topic that I'm coming to y'all with today is something that is really near and dear to my heart. I've been really wanting to put out a video like this for some time now, and I really feel that I'm in the place as far as, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I feel confident and I feel assured in that I have something to give to the collective, okay? So for those of you who do not know, I have been professionally working and acting within the entertainment industry since 2019. I am so blessed to have had such a warm welcome. The amount of support, encouragement, mentorship, guidance, love, and just all around I want to say uplifting from my friends, family, peers, colleagues, coaches, even strangers, just chiming in to say a job well done and, congratulating me on any wins that I've had. And it's been invaluable, and I've been so grateful and so just, I guess you can say, overjoyed by just how my process has been. And so this video is an ode to that. This is a thank you to everyone who has ever mentioned a kind word, given a thumbs up, a heart to a video, viewed anything, or have had any questions, or really just, taken an interest in my journey, shown support in any sort of way. This is a thank you to that. And because I've been poured into so much, I feel almost compelled, like it's my duty to give back to my community, to become a resource for others that others have been to me. So without getting in too deep or, making this intro hella long, because y'all know me, I will wrap this thing around the block if y'all let me. So I'm going to get into my tips, my recommendations for anyone who has an interest in becoming a professional working actor. All right, so please feel free to like, save, pin this video, get a pen, paper, pad, whatever you feel like you need to have at the ready. Mind you, if you're just here out of curiosity, or you just look at acting as something to do fun on date night or as a hobby, you can still benefit from these tips. And even if you aren't looking to be an actor, I feel as though any creative or anyone who has a goal that they may have not seen anyone, close to them accomplish, or, they may not know too much about, but they know that they want it. I feel like these tips can also be applicable to those things as well. Okay, first things first, step one is you need to be in class. Like, that's just on period poo. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it, okay? Anybody who's worth their salt in this industry, if you ask them what's the first thing you need to do to be an actor or to become a professional working actor, is to be in class. Okay, and no, I'm not saying you have to go back to school. No, I'm not saying you have to take out loans, this, that, and the third. Now, mind you, there are plenty of people within this industry who go the more so traditional route of, studying film, studying theater, acting, all of these things throughout their undergraduate and graduate studies, which is fine. Okay, but if you're someone like me who did not start off in this industry, where you're pivoting from maybe one career, or maybe you just had a later start, then these are some tips that'll work for you. And the first thing you need to do is be in class. If anything, in order to maintain longevity in any industry, is you need to be knowledgeable about that thing that you are trying to become. That is key. You need to have a solid foundation, because opportunity may not always be there. You may not always have the spotlight on you. Like, you have to rely on those skills and those techniques and those relationships and that solid foundation, those pillars, to build and maintain a consistent career. Okay, and so what I want to highlight is the reason why I stay in class, right? There are some times where I do take a break, whether it's, just for mental, emotional reasons or financial reasons, where I have to step out of class. But, typically if I'm out of class for at least 3 months and I know I need to get back into a workshop or something, some sort of continuing education within my craft. Okay, so there's 4 things that I want to highlight about class. Now, the reasons you should be in class varies for every actor, every person in this industry, but the main reasons why I stay in class is, 1, my skill set. I need to keep my tools sharp, you know, and that's not just with acting or the entertainment industry. I feel like any industry where it's constantly evolving and growing and new things are changing and you are forced to adapt to what is current in today's time, you have to continue your education. And so with the class, you're going to learn those techniques, right? It's not just about emoting and being able to become emotional, but knowing the structure of how to break down a character, how to embody that character, you know, how to break down a script, scene study, you know, being able to rely on these skills and techniques that will help you to become that much more of a, you know, varied actor, right? Networking. So you never know who you could be in class with, right? So your coach might be also a director or producer or a casting associate, right? That can put you in connection with other opportunities. You know, you might be taking classes with the next, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio or the next Viola Davis, or you could be the next Jennifer Lawrence, or you could be the next Denzel, right? And so it's maintaining those relationships and building those relationships that help to propel you forward within this industry, right? Even still, you know, it's not just about getting it from coaches or professors, but a lot of casting directors, managers, agents, directors and producers, they also host workshops, webinars, seminars, where, you know, it's not only about us as actors trying to get put on or trying to find the next, you know, opportunity, but they also want to cultivate fresh blood and talent. They want to see what's out there. And a lot of times they will host these classes and seminars to see what you've got as an actor. You know, if you bypass that process completely, then you're already putting yourself behind the curve, okay? And not only that, classes help you to build this sense of professionalism, okay? I don't care what industry you get into, there's always some level of etiquette. There's always some expectation how things are done. And if you've never been, you know, in the acting industry whatsoever, then you're going to want to know these things, because I know for sure that I didn't want to be the oddball out in an audition room not knowing what standard procedure or protocol was, because that can be the quickest turnoff to any director, coach, you know, producer that's viewing you, is that you lack that professionalism when entering the building or entering, you know, a Zoom room or entering a workshop or class. And so these are all things that you are learning within the classroom setting or through coaching, right? Is that you learn the business of acting, right? And that's why they call it the biz. Being an entertainer is not just about entertaining or putting on a show or being like, pick me, make me a star. It's about being reliable and trustworthy when providing a service, right? That's what actors do at the end of the day. It's very cut and dry. It's very grassroots, right? When people sign you on for a job to do a commercial, or when they're putting you in their play, or when they want you to be a part of their film, they are relying on you and trusting you to come forth with certain skills and abilities and professionalism to get that job done. So that way they're not wasting their time or money. Okay, that was a lot. But you see where I'm going. You see how intense I can get. You know, I've been 5 minutes on tip 1 alone, and we got some ways to go, okay? So, of course, do your due diligence, do your research. Just start, right? And class is a great place to learn about all of these things, because that's where I learned it from. You know, like I said, what I'm pouring out to you all is what's been poured into me, right? This is something that I've heard time and time again in various classes across the board. So I know it's no BS, okay? Of course, as I'm editing this about classes, there's so much to say about it. I can go on and on. However, you can pretty much tailor your coursework and your study to whatever your interests lie in. So screenplay and script writing, filmography, learning new languages, learning, you know, to drive different types of vehicles, learning about different countries, learning different dialects and accents, doing things with your body, learning music, stunt work, martial arts, weight training. All of these things can be applicable to any given role, situation, or project that you might be interested in or asked to take part in. You know, you want to make sure that you're competitive in this industry, and just building your overall experience and well-roundedness as a person helps with that a lot. You know, we are not in a vacuum, and you never know what might come up as a skill or necessary training. Shit, hula hooping. Put that on your resume too, honey. I've done. Let's move on. Next thing are headshots. These are the 8x12 photos that you see actors posting up, you know, little where they got like different like little looks, little smiles, you know, all that good stuff, right? But essentially, you know, a headshot is what an ID or passport is for the club. If you ain't got that, baby, you ain't getting in. And so the headshot is the calling card. And now the entertainment industry is not the only industry that utilizes professional headshots, okay? Anywhere or any industry that you are using your face as a sign of recognition, status, or entry, you need a professional headshot, okay? And so it's pretty much your calling card. You know, when you're submitting to jobs or when you're reaching out to different casting agents or producers or directors, if you don't have a headshot, then you technically don't exist, baby. And, you know, you could be catfishing for all they know. So they want to see, you know, they want to preview the goods before they buy them, if you know what I'm saying. So a headshot is one way that you do that. And I want to put emphasis on professional, because this is not, you know, some selfie that you're taking, okay? It has to be done correctly, right? And I can make a whole separate video or something on that, because there's different nuances to what makes a good headshot. But if you go with a good professional photographer that has experience in this industry and taking professional headshots for actors, then you pretty much can't steer wrong, okay? And professional headshots can cost anywhere from $150 and above. Okay, so make sure not to skimp on them, because if you think about it, in my case, you know, I had to get a new headshot every year, just because when I started, I had no hair, and then now I have hair. So you want to keep your headshots current. But if you're someone who, you know, doesn't change your hairstyle often, you know, is not getting a whole bunch of work done to your face, then a good professional headshot can last you about 2 to 3 years. You know, so really, $250 for headshots is going to last you about 2 to 3 years. Is not that big of an expense. And if it is for you, then you just got to save up and be willing to invest in that. But that's a whole nother point that I'm going to get into a little later in the video. Okay, but headshots are necessary. Okay, tip number 3. You need to learn how to master the self-tape. And this could be a whole nother video in and of itself, so I'm not going to get too heavy into it. However, right, when you are submitting your headshots, right, you know, because of the pandemic and where we are globally, you know, the industry has had to change and adapt. And back in the day, self-tapes were very few and in between, and usually were, you know, reserved for when you made it through to certain stages of an audition, right? However, nowadays, you know, casting directors, you know, producers, you know, people who are seeking out talent, you know, it's much more cost effective for them to be able to put out a notice and have people submit a self-tape, which is really just what it sounds like, them taping themselves and submitting it virtually, rather than them having to rent out a space, worry about COVID and safety protocols, worry about how many people or the max amount that they're allowed to have, and, you know, really limiting the variety of actors that they have submitting, because if it's somewhere in California, then I'm not going to book a flight for an audition not knowing if I'm going to book it. You feel what I'm saying? So a self-tape essentially is when you're going to audition, right? They might give you questions as prompts. They might ask you to do a monologue. They might give you sides or pieces of a script to do. You will record yourself and then submit it to whomever is receiving those auditions or whoever posted the audition notice, okay? And so, like I said, you know, these are things that you'll learn how to do in class, right? So everything that I'm about to get into, with the exception of maybe the last 2, you will learn in class more in depth. And especially because when you're working with other people in the industry, you learn from them, whether it's through observation, whether it's through conversation, or them really just putting you on game, as what I'm doing right now, okay? So definitely, you know, look into, you know, you can Google how to do a self-tape, or, you know, take a class. All right, moving on. So you got your headshots, you got your self-tape. But Courtney, where do we submit it? Where do we send all this information to? How do we know about jobs? How do we know what's out there? So I'm not exactly sure if this is the professional or legit term for these platforms, but I just call them acting and submission platforms. Okay, they're kind of like, you know, Indeed or LinkedIn, if you will, to where you create a profile for yourself, right? And then based upon, you know, what managers, producers, casting directors, anybody can, you know, pretty much post a listing for actors to view, right? They'll give you a description of the characters that are available, what type of skills they're looking for, or what type of look they're looking for. They may ask for demo reels or, you know, clips of your previous work, or they may even provide you with a side or questions or information to answer within your self-tape. Okay, but a lot of these platforms, I'm going to list off a few, like Actors Access, Backstage, IMDb, Casting Frontier, you know, the list goes on. But pretty much they're like hubs for where people within the industry can connect to each other, right? So whether you're a manager that's looking for new talent, or you're an actor looking to be in a commercial, or if you are a playwright looking to staff your new theater production that's coming out, right? Everyone can list and post jobs, and then whoever is seeking out those jobs or opportunities can then find them. And a lot of these acting submission platforms, they do offer some sort of free trial, whether it's a 7-dayer or a 30-day free trial, or like Actors Access, they'll allow you to view the jobs that are posted. But in order to submit, you would have to pay per submission. Now, me personally, I, you know, tried out a few different ones, then stuck to like my main top 4 that I use most often. And then I paid for the yearly subscription just to be more cost effective. Okay, so do your research, right? Like I said, this is also information that I received from my community, right? From my peers and from my coaches and, you know, the workshops that I took. Okay, so real quick, just as a side note to what I just said about subscribing to these acting platforms, another way that you can find jobs or casting calls and things of that nature is to follow the casting directors, the managers, the directors and producers that you like, or even the streaming networks that you like on social media. So like Instagram, Facebook, or if they have YouTube channels and platforms, a lot of the times they will also post, you know, when they're casting for certain projects, or when they're having new pilots being introduced and they're looking for new talent, they'll give you directions on these different pages or on their profiles about how to submit for auditions. And typically it's either through, they'll direct you through an acting platform, or they'll say submit via email and they'll give you further instructions. So with all of that being said, so we have the classes, we have the headshots, we have the self-tape, and we have the acting and submission platforms, right? So next tip is be prepared to invest, y'all. Like, this is not for the faint of heart, and this is not, you know, like I said, if you're someone who's doing this for a hobby or a good fun time sort of thing, then really just taking classes here and there is all you really need to worry about. But if you're someone who's seeking to become a professional working actor in this business, you have to be prepared to invest, right? You know, I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised about how much I had to pay for and how much time things took. But, you know, after about 3 years, you know, it's just kind of what it is. You know, I live, breathe, eat, sleep it at this point. So you have to be aware that paying for classes, workshops, seminars, paying for headshots, paying for, you know, subscriptions to these acting platforms, that costs money. You know, taking classes. I've never been in a class that's lasted less than 2.5 hours. You know, traveling to auditions, recording self-tape, rehearsing your lines, you know, driving and traveling to different shoots and opportunities that you might have takes time, energy, and effort, you know. And then also on top of that, not just working when you have a job, but the act of looking for a job, the act of submitting. I could spend hours on these platforms trying to sift and sort through all of the listings that are there and trying to figure out which ones I want to apply to, and making sure that I'm following up and making sure that I have everything that I need when I'm submitting. Like, it's this growing, evolving thing in and of itself of your own business, right? Because you are your business, right? I know that the entertainment industry at large has all of these moving parts, but if you don't first have your ish in order, then it's really, you know, it's going to make it even more difficult for you to play in the game at large, if you will. So being prepared, right? Being of the understanding that in order to get out, you have to put in, right? With any investment, it's going to take time. And whether that return comes weeks from now, months from now, years from now, decades from now, it's all about how you perceive it. Try to inundate yourself in the process, right? You know, it's not just about wanting to be given the information or given all the answers, because ultimately the level of success that you're aspiring to get to can only be defined by you. Which leads me into my final point of, you have to come into this game with a growth mindset, a growth-oriented mindset. And what that means in a nutshell is that you view every experience, whether good or bad, challenges, barriers, successes, as all opportunities to learn and grow and become better than what you were before, okay? This is not something that is going to be without its challenges. I know we view, you know, the red carpet and superstars and A-listers as very glamorous and having this very luxurious life, but the reason why I'm in awe of them is because now I understand just how effing hard this ish is. Like, they didn't get there just by chance. Well, no, I'm going to say they didn't get there just by chance, okay? They had to put in some sort of time, effort, and consistency and discipline, okay? That goes with anything great, with anything long-standing, and anything that you're seeking to be sustainable, whether that's your weight loss journey, whether that's your relationships, whether that's your connection with God, whether that's your career in any industry. You have to be of the mindset that regardless of what setbacks I might incur, what rejections I might have to face, what, you know, delays I might encounter, that it's all for my greater good, right? That things are happening for me, not to me. And so I've, you know, not just in acting, you know, I feel like I came in with a growth mindset, but it's been cultivated even more now that, you know, I've had to face certain setbacks and I've had delays, and I've had to kind of, you know, like check my ego in a sense and make sure that it's like, hey, this is what you signed up for. You know, this is part of the game. Don't get, you know, in your feelings now about it. I mean, you know, it's fine, be in your feelings, but don't let that hinder you. Don't let that keep you from moving forward, from continuing on your journey, because that's what it is. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So I think that's all of my, my 2 cents. But what I will also say with having a growth-oriented mindset is making sure that you establish some sort of support system. So I know that, you know, in this grind culture that we have, we get caught up on trying to do it all by ourselves. And that's why I think it's so crucial to any beginner to get into class, because that helps you to realize that you are not by yourself. And there's absolutely no way in this industry that you can get there by yourself, right? Because every project, every star that has a star, you know, has a team, has a support system, whether that's your family and friends, whether it's a group of peers, whether it's your coaches, whether it's, you know, your managers or agents. You know, build a strong foundation within yourself, but also within the people around you, because it's who you surround yourself with, what type of environment you have, that's going to predict how far you can really go. Okay. I think that's it. I think that's all I got for you. You know, if you like this video, you know, comment, heart it. If you have any other questions that you want me to go more in depth about, let me know, because I'm your girl. But this is just me paying it forward. You know, I will say once again, I am truly grateful for every bit of, you know, every bit of advice, every bit of encouragement, anybody who's ever poured into my well. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So, all right, that's all I got for you. So I will check in with y'all later, and you guys have an amazing day. Okay, bye.